Why did Rockstar Games stop using celebrity actors as main characters? In this video, I'm going to do a deep dive into why Rockstar don't use celebrity actors as main characters in any of the Grand Theft Auto games anymore. Over the years, we've had celebrities such as Samuel L. Jackson, Ray Liotta, Michael Madsen, Dennis Hopper, Burt Reynolds, and many more in the GTA games. Some of the most notable of those appearances was Ray Liotta. By the way, I'm probably butchering that name, correct me if I'm wrong. We're just going to call him Ray, keep things simple. One of the most famous appearances is from Ray. He played Tommy Vercetti in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and to this day it is one of my favourite characters. Man, I love that shirt. But before I get into today's video, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe yet. I'm going to ask you, if you do enjoy the video throughout the video, please consider subscribing. I only started this YouTube channel a week ago, and I am trying to build my audience because eventually down the line, I do want to be able to monetize my channel and make this a possible career path for me. So from one person to another, you would be actually supporting one of my dreams. So if you do enjoy the video, at any point if you think that's cool, please subscribe and like. Now on with the video. Sorry for rambling a bit. Now if we take a deep dive into Grand Theft Auto's history and look at some of the big names that have been key characters in the storylines for these games, there seems to be a constant theme. Now if we start with Tommy from Vice City, things started off a little bit hairy with Rockstar Games to begin with anyway. No pun intended. So when the Rockstar developers first met Ray Liotta to discuss his role within the game, according to Wired, after having a few drinks and dining on some expensive steaks while swapping stories, Liotta went cold for no reason, staring them down. Then Liotta snapped and said, "Why the are you laughing?" At this point, it's safe to say the Rockstar devs were confused, but shortly after, Liotta laughed and said, "I'm with you." Anyone that has seen Goodfellas would probably guess that this was apparently mimicking an iconic scene between himself and Joe Pesci. Man, this is why I shouldn't make videos at 1 AM. But it caught the devs off guard. However, Liotta's awkward interactions with the developers didn't end there. Rockstar developer Naveed Konsari mentioned an instance when Liotta limped into the recording session, sore from a baseball injury, and wearily said, "The last video game I played was Pong." Konsari was offended by the actor's attitude and responded, "I don't really give a what you do outside this. I mean, I loved you in Goodfellas, but this is a job and you've got to do this." Now, there's a lot of instances where they had a lot of issues with Ray Liotta. Now, I'm going to spare you all the gossip. Do some Googling on the interactions between Rockstar and Ray Liotta. There's been a lot of different instances where they've fallen out, mainly because Ray was from an industry where video games weren't considered like a mainstream form of media. They were what kids played. So from the get-go, Ray was treating this as more of a small paycheck for a little game series that he had no interest in being in. So a lot of his attitude was not justifiable, but also in context it's a bit more understandable why he wouldn't be as open when it comes to working with Rockstar Games. A few other instances of things not exactly going to plan is with Burt Reynolds. Apparently the producers at Rockstar Games said that Burt Reynolds isn't a particularly nice person to work with and his ego is extremely overinflated. Once again, this can be attributed to a similar thing to Ray, where they've come from a different industry. I'm not justifying the behaviour, but the context matters. So to round up the egos chapter of this, Rockstar Games don't like working with people that have preset egos, people that are treated like gods in certain industries to come into an industry which by the mainstream media is considered less valuable, i.e. gaming. Obviously that's not the case now. The mainstream media is now becoming the younger generation which value gaming, but for big movie stars to get paid millions to do movies and then be offered a job as a voice actor in a game, straight away their ego's already been challenged. But also as well, like, I'm sure there are some big egos within Rockstar too, so there's probably some clashes there. The best way to describe this, I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but having a racing driver that's earning millions of pounds a year racing cars around a track to then get paid 1/10 of the price to drive a racing simulator. That's the only comparison to modern day I have where racing simulators are only just starting to become acceptable as like actual bona fide skill sets. Obviously I think they are, but the wider mainstream media and especially people of the older generation may not have that point of view. And it's very similar with this, where the older generation at this sort of time period, which is like 2001 to 2003, didn't really accept that they were as popular as big as movies. Obviously we know now that that's very much not the case, as one of the biggest entertainment franchises in the world is Grand Theft Auto. And to summarize this section of the video, Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser says the developer has moved away from using name actors in recent games, citing egos and player immersion. Speaking to Vulture, Houser explained, "We do not bring in name actors anymore because of their egos, and most important of all, because we believe we get better sense of immersion using talented actors whose voices you don't recognise, which takes me on to the next section of the video. Now, the next reason why Rockstar don't work with big A-list celebrity actors as main characters in Grand Theft Auto is due to pre-connotations. With games becoming now really high resolution and the characters really looking like their real life counterparts, you don't want a comparison between an actor's performance in a movie and an actor's performance in a game. For example, if you see Brad Pitt in 2 movies as the main actor, you will compare both movies to each other. If people say, oh, I really like this Brad Pitt movie, the other person would say, oh, but yeah, this movie that he did was better. So Rockstar want to remove that conversation from people's mouths. If it's someone that you've never heard of voice acting a role that aren't any preset expectations for, there is no A-B comparison. It's judging the story and the actor's performance on purely the actor's performance and the story, not any preset expectation. With an actor you don't know, you can never assume that they're going to be better than they are. And that's not taking anything away from the Rockstar Games actors, they are brilliant, but we're just trying to remove the A-B comparison that often sits between them. Now there's 2 more various reasons I want to cover off why Rockstar Games don't use celebrity actors as main characters. And make sure you stay to the end of the video because the last reason might actually surprise you. So the next reason is down to damage control. If you take an A-lister celebrity actor that has millions of followers online and a big audience and large mainstream popularity, if they have any disagreements with Rockstar Games, they immediately become headline news and shoved in front of people's faces, which is not what you want. A prime example of this sort of inconvenience is the guy that played Nico Bellic in GTA 4, Michael Hollick. Following the release of GTA 4, Michael Hollick, who played Nico Bellic, voiced not so much a concern, but a slight reservation to the fact that Rockstar Games had paid him £100,000 for being in the series, and he was led to believe that he would be receiving some form of royalty from the game. Now, I can guarantee that the majority of people that passively play Grand Theft Auto, if you're watching this video, you're one of the 1% of people that are obsessed with it, like me. We're all weird. But if this was a mainstream actor, like let's go back to Brad Pitt again, I'm not obsessed with Brad Pitt, it's just the only name that comes to mind. But if he had announced this publicly on the news, for example, which he would get invited on the news, this would cause a big PR nightmare for Rockstar Games. Now, as it actually turned out, Michael Hollick didn't actually say his exact words. Some media outlets twisted it, but in 2009 there was an actual statement from Rockstar Games that they're still working with Hollick on a few different projects, but he's not actually credited in anything that's come out since. But the way the media works, it got spun the wrong way, which isn't something you want to happen. So by using small unknown voice actors, you are limiting your damage. You are doing damage control. Another example of this is Young Melee, and if you don't know who Young Melee is, he played CJ in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. His Instagram is pretty wild. He has a massive issue with Rockstar Games. I'll leave a link to a video down in the description where you can find out more about what that issue is and everything.
Same old CJ. Buster, straight buster.
But he was really cryptic for the longest period of time, around about 2020, about why he hates Rockstar Games and how they're the enemy. And obviously if you're an avid GTA fan, you might know this, but for the people that played GTA San Andreas growing up and haven't really revisited it since, or are not keeping up with Grand Theft Auto news, this isn't really common knowledge. This is kind of something that was let slip and it just kind of exists now. But if this was a Hollywood actor, it would make a lot more mainstream news. So yeah, to summarize, if they are a big actor, they have a big voice. Smaller actors are a lot easier to control in that aspect. I don't want to say the word manipulate, so I don't feel like Rockstar is manipulating anyone, but in terms of damage prevention and damage control, it makes sense to have someone that isn't an A-list movie star. Now the final reason, and this is weird because I actually haven't seen anyone talk about this on YouTube, and it's really confused me because for me, I'd say this is probably one of the most important reasons now. Look how obsessed we all are with GTA 6. Now, if a big Hollywood actor, which by the way, the paparazzi wait outside their houses and go through their bins waiting for them to leave to get photos of them with their new partner or to say what they had for breakfast, I don't know, but you know what I mean. They wouldn't be able to do a game with Rockstar Games without becoming mainstream knowledge. Prime example of this is Dr. Dre. So Dr. Dre will have a radio station in GTA 6, and it took the world but 5 minutes to figure that out. Now imagine if it's a main character that's spending 18 months to 2 years doing voice acting and motion capturing for a game franchise, that wouldn't stay under wraps. So the main characters in Grand Theft Auto need to be people that people don't know about. It needs to be kept completely under wraps. It needs to be something that the general media can't get hold of. So this might be a bit of a stab in the dark, but bear with me. If you take every single person in the world that wants to know about GTA 6 and is obsessed with it coming out, which once again, I'm weird, that is me. And if you compare that to the amount of people that want to find out what Canada's government is up to, I can guarantee for the most part, Rockstar Games have a much tighter ship than most governments do when it comes to what's going on inside them. And this is one of the key reasons why they can't have major celebrities as main actors, because it'd be really damaging to the franchise if anything got leaked. So yeah, hopefully that summarizes, there are a lot more things to go into and a lot more reasons, but I wanted to keep this video kind of short and concise. I have noticed that my longer form videos do perform better because I can go more in depth. I didn't want to go into every single piece of turmoil with previous Rockstar games voice actors because it's actually a lot. In fact, there's a lot of videos out there which is Rockstar versus voice actors. It's pretty insane. So yeah, so if you did enjoy today's video, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I've actually got some really cool videos coming up in the next few days. I've recorded a couple of them so far, so I'm looking forward to showing you those videos. So I just sent this video to one of my YouTube friends that has just told me that it's Ray Liotta. No, not Ray Liotta.